Eala is one match away from losing everything nobody even knows she's fighting for. She has beaten a Wimbledon champion. She has beaten a world number 2. And in less than 24 hours, none of that is going to matter, because the draw just handed her the one opponent capable of ending her story before it even starts. Everyone online is talking about a possible clash with the defending champion of this tournament. That headline is real. But it is not the danger. The danger is standing between her and that headline, and almost nobody is talking about it. By the end of this video you're going to understand exactly why one afternoon in Washington, D.C. could either put a 21-year-old into the history books, or erase the biggest month of her career like it never happened. And there's a detail buried in this draw, something these two players already share, that changes the entire meaning of the week. I'm not telling you yet. Stay with me. Before any of that, if you want to actually follow this story instead of finding out about it 3 days late in someone else's recap, hit subscribe right now. I'm not going to pretend this is a small ask. There are creators putting out lazy, recycled previews on this exact storyline, and I'm not doing that. I'm tracking every match of this player's American summer, round by round, the wins, the collapses, all of it, and if her story means anything to you, being here when it actually happens matters more than watching it get explained to you after the fact. So subscribe now, because what I'm about to walk you through is not in a single other preview of this tournament. Let's start with the number that explains everything about why this week is different from any other week of her career. 28. That's Alexandra Eala's career-high world ranking, a number she reached after tearing through the grass season this summer, capped off by becoming the first Filipino singles player in history to reach the second week of Wimbledon. She is arriving in Washington on the best form of her life. And she is arriving completely unprotected. Here's what almost nobody explains properly. This tournament, the Mubadala DC Open, only seeds 8 players. 8. When Jessica Pegula, Alina Svitolina, Naomi Osaka, Jasmine Paolini, Madison Keys, and the rest of the game's biggest names all show up in the same 28-player draw, being ranked 28th in the world isn't enough to protect you. A seed is a shield. It stops the tournament from throwing the scariest possible opponent at you in round 1. Eala has no shield. She is floating loose in a field of Grand Slam champions, and the draw can put anyone across the net from her on day 1. And it did. Round 1, Alexandra Eala against Zheng Qinwen. Let that sit for a second, because this is not some random floater. Zheng Qinwen is the reigning Olympic gold medalist, the woman who stood on top of the podium in Paris in 2024. She was once ranked as high as world number 4. She was a Grand Slam finalist at the Australian Open. And she entered this tournament on a wild card, unseeded, unprotected, with nothing to lose, exactly like Eala. Here's why that combination is so dangerous. A wild card carries no ranking protection, which means it becomes a loose piece the draw can drop anywhere in the bracket. Usually that's a hometown teenager. This time it's a former top 4 player with a gold medal, currently rebuilding after elbow surgery, hungry to prove she still belongs at the top. 2 players with everything to prove and nothing to protect, colliding in the very first round. That's not a routine opener. That's a landmine. And now here's the detail I promised you. These two have stood across a net from each other before, and if you're Filipino, you already know exactly how it ended, because it still stings. September 2023. Asian Games. Semi-final. Eala was 18 years old, ranked 190th in the world, facing a player ranked 167 spots above her, in front of a nation watching at 4 in the morning, dreaming about a gold medal in a sport the Philippines had not medaled in at these games since 1962. Zheng took the first set with almost no resistance. Eala found something in the second, clawing all the way back to force a tiebreak, and won it. Suddenly, impossibly, this teenager was 1 set from the final. She broke early in the third. She led. And then her body simply ran out. Zheng closed it out and went on to the gold medal match. Eala walked away with bronze, and with a loss that has never left the conversation, because in every match these two have ever played, at any level, Zheng has never lost to her. So here's the real question hanging over Monday. Is this the same Eala who ran out of gas at 18? Or is this a completely different competitor, one who has since learned to win from a set down, one who has beaten a Wimbledon champion on center court this same summer? I can argue it both ways, and honestly, that's what makes this so uncomfortable to predict. Because pressure doesn't disappear when you get better. It just changes shape. 3 years ago she had nothing to lose. This time, an entire country expects her to win. Now assume, for a second, that she gets through it. Because if she does, the match everyone online has already started talking about is waiting on the other side, and I need to tell you something about that matchup that the mainstream coverage has almost completely missed. Leylah Fernandez is the defending champion of this tournament, the first Canadian in the event's history to win the title. She's the same player who reached the US Open final in 2021 at 18 years old and had all of New York fall in love with her overnight. And her mother is Filipino-Canadian. Sit with that. If Fernandez gets through her own opener and Eala gets through hers, this is not the story being sold to you. It is not the Philippines against Canada. It is two young women with Filipino blood standing on opposite ends of an American hard court, and only one of them keeps going. Fernandez has never hidden where half of her family comes from. She talks about it, she embraces the Filipino fans who show up for her across North America. But she plays under a different flag than Eala does. And if that stadium fills with Filipino supporters, there's a question nobody has a clean answer for. Who do they cheer for? Tell me in the comments, because I genuinely want to know, and I promise you the honest answer makes people uncomfortable. Here's the piece that makes this even sharper. This is not the first time these two have played each other this year. Back in April, on clay in Stuttgart, Fernandez beat Eala in the round of 32. So the word everyone keeps using, collision course, like this is two players finally crossing paths for the first time, isn't accurate. It's a rematch. And Eala is the one still owed a result. Now stack the whole picture together and look at what this draw is actually demanding from her. To even reach the quarterfinals, she likely has to beat an Olympic gold medalist and then the defending champion, back-to-back, on a hard court surface she hasn't competed on competitively since the spring. There is no gentle opening round to find her rhythm. It's maximum difficulty from the very first point of the week. But don't assume Fernandez is comfortable either. She's defending a full year of ranking points from winning this exact title last year, and when those points briefly dropped off the live rankings recently, she fell 9 full spots in a single afternoon. She isn't defending a trophy for pride. She's defending it because the ranking math punishes her if she doesn't. She said herself, ahead of this tournament, that a year is a long time, and a lot can change. That's a champion admitting the ground has shifted under her. So which version of Eala shows up matters more than almost anything else happening at this tournament, and here's why. Look at her season split cleanly in two. On clay this year, she struggled, visibly, for tournaments with almost no traction, out early every time. Then grass arrived, and she turned into a completely different player. A semifinal in Berlin. A title on the WTA 125 Tour in Birmingham. And that fourth-round run at Wimbledon, where she beat the tournament's defending champion along the way. Hard court is the question mark. She hasn't played one competitively in months. But this is also the surface where her breakout happened in the first place, back in Miami, where she took down 3 Grand Slam champions in a single tournament as a teenager ranked outside the top 100. Hard court isn't foreign to her. It's where this entire story started. And here's the part that raises the stakes on all of it past just this one tournament. There's a date circled on the WTA calendar, August 24th. That's the cutoff for seeding at the US Open. Right now, Eala sits at number 29 on the entry list, just outside the cushion she needs. If she's inside the top 32 by that date, she becomes the first Filipina in history to be a seeded player at Flushing Meadows. A seed isn't just a number. It's protection, it's a softer draw, it's a real shot at pushing deep into the tournament that matters most. She has 3 tournaments and a handful of ranking spots standing between her and that piece of history, and it all starts with Zheng Qinwen on Monday. So here's where this actually leaves us. If she wins that first match, she walks into a potential Fernandez rematch with rhythm, with confidence, against a champion carrying the weight of 500 points she has to defend just to stand still. That door is genuinely open. If she loses, the storyline everyone's been posting about since the draw came out disappears before a single person even gets to talk about it. No rematch. No history angle. Nothing. That's how thin this is. One match. One afternoon. And there's something bigger sitting underneath all of this that has nothing to do with wins and losses. 2 years ago, there was no professional WTA event anywhere in the Philippines. There is one now, and it didn't happen by accident. It happened because a girl who left home at 12 to train overseas decided good enough wasn't the ceiling. Kids in Manila are picking up rackets right now who would have picked up something else 3 years ago. That shift outlasts every result we just talked about. So Monday, Alexandra Eala walks out unseeded, unprotected, on the best form of her career, against the one player who has never lost to her, with a nation waking up at 4 in the morning to watch. I don't know what happens. I've given you every reason to believe it and every reason to be nervous about it, and I mean both. But if she gets through it, and if this really does turn into a meeting with Fernandez, there's one question I still can't answer for you. Who does that crowd cheer for? I'm going to be covering every single match of this American swing, Washington, Toronto, Cincinnati, all the way to whatever happens in New York, breaking it down exactly like this, match by match. If you don't want to find out how this resolves from someone else's recap 3 days later, subscribe now so you're actually here for it. Drop your prediction for Monday in the comments. I'll see you after the result.